They're on. Can you not see? Is it the back? We're trying to get everything set up in here. It's just a new adventure every day. So are the ring lights not working? You guys don't know this because you're listening on radios. I mean, how about that? Is that too much? Is that too little? What's the deal? I don't get it. I have no idea. I
mean, and the monitor behind you, not operable.
This? Like the whole thing fell apart. What the hell happened here? It was gone for 2 minutes.
Yeah, I tried to find the remote to turn the TV on, and I couldn't find it.
We're not as smooth as the federal government. I'll tell you that right now.
No, we're a lot smoother than the federal government.
So you think? You see,
compared to the federal government,
you see that guy that came out is in was he in Fortune magazine? He is a big company, not obviously as big as the likes of the federal government or Elon, but he's a big time CEO. And he was working on Doge, and they said he said they fired him because his article came out. I think it was I don't know if it was an Entrepreneur magazine, might have been in the Wall Street Journal, whatever. And in it, he said the reason he got fired because he said, I expected to find a whole bunch of waste, fraud, and abuse, and the government's a little bit more efficient than I thought they would be. I don't think the government.
That guy's clearly smoking meth.
Yeah, meth. Wow. Do you smoke meth? I don't.
He can.
Okay. I'm asking for a friend, Bell. You can smoke it, I guess. You know what though? It's. I keep saying I want to see some of these receipts about all the waste, fraud, and abuse. I know some of it's there. Is it as much as? Here's the thing. This is the perfect example of the media world we live in. Is it as much as the right would want it to be waste, fraud, and abuse? Nope. It is as little as the left wants you to believe it's waste, fraud, and abuse, and there's none of it? Nope. It's like everything. It's gray. It's in the middle. That's the issue. It's not the worst thing ever, but it's not nothing. It's just overspending. What it really is it's welcome to politics. It is just handing out monies to your pals for fake grants and putting your wife's sister on a board where she makes $400,000 a year. And she then contributes $200,000 to your campaign. I mean, that is the scumminess of politics. This is not what our founding fathers thought. You know what, guys? One day, people will come to the District of Columbia, which will not be a state. We only want it to be essentially a place where you come and work once in a great while and then go back to your homes and take care of business there. No. One day they will come here and they will argue for it to be a state. And then one day they will make millions and billions of dollars off funneling money to their friends that we tax people for. That is what will happen. Modern politics. Speaking of modern politics, so we're kicking out all the Chinese? Is this what I'm hearing? We're kicking out all the Chinese of the that are going to colleges? That's a lot. That's a lot. Remember, they pay full rate. All of these people do.
I'm actually curious as to how many Chinese...
300,000, I think.
But how many of those are actually a member of the party?
You don't have to be a member of the party.
Well, that's what they said they're going at, is people with ties to members to the CCP.
I think if you are I was talking to Gordon Chang about this, I was talking to my wife about this last night. You may be born and raised in America, as American as possible, but grandma and grandpa still live in China. And now you're working somewhere in a laboratory on one of these Ivy League campuses or somewhere, and they're developing something that China would love to know about. When you get and it's somebody from China who you don't know talking about your grandparents who maybe you met once, because they play the long game. There are people that have come over here when they're children and become American citizens. And could they expect to knock at the door? Absolutely. It is the long game. And that's what China does. That's why I continue to say, we'll talk a little bit about the tariff stuff later, because once again, it's welcome again to modern politics, which is modern politics is fought like this. We vote for people. They're in power. Other people sue who didn't vote for those people. It goes to courts. Those courts then do something. And then it goes up to a higher court. Then we get a ruling. So maybe we should vote for the judges we want. Maybe that'd be easier to do. So the thing about China, though, their long game, they don't care. And I've never cared about the tariffs against China. Go harder, go bigger. Because if they are who we say they are, who we think they are, then what the hell are we doing? Why are we even participating in any of this? Why? If the goal is the next 10 years for us and them to battle it out, hopefully never on the battlefield, to the point where we can see, us and the world decoupling from them, and at least the way that they are now. Doesn't mean we can't bring Baby Bird back into the fold. Oh, you're changing your ways? Come on back, baby. Come on back. We're good with you. Come on. Doesn't mean that. But it means as long as you've got somebody who's a Maoist, whose ultimate goal is to control the world and build it in their image, then this is what we need to do. So I have zero problems with that. None. And they're an economic force. Apple right now, for you guys not keeping score, Apple's getting their asses kicked by China. Absolutely throttled by China. And their technology is damn good. Why? Well, because it's ours, and they steal it. And they have. And then they tinker with it, and they do it in such a way that they're making stuff better. I mean, Elon right now, I think it's that BYD company, that car is half the price, goes farther, charges quicker. I mean, there's some, you've got, there's competition, there's real things. They became an economic force, not just of making cheap goods for us around the globe and for a workforce. So, yeah, I have zero problems with those kind of tariffs and doing the thing that's right to protect ours. There's no doubt we should be looking at that. Just like we talked about with all the illegal immigration. How many, fighting age men came over here? Because that's the way you always do it. It's like, you don't say 22-year-olds, say fighting age man, but that were Chinese that escaped there. And many of them maybe escaped because it was persecution. They understood it. But how many of them came here and you're like, well, where are they now? What are they doing? We've heard about police forces, their secret police force. We've heard about all those things. So we understand that. So being strong in that situation, I got no problems with, because I see a lot of people freaking out about this. Now, do I think we need to kick every foreign student out of here? No. Is it going to work the way that Trump wants? No, it isn't. And, is it going to be a tit for tat? Of course it is. Welcome to the world of, modern politics, between nations, between people, between parties. This is what happens. And, we'll find out. You've already got an injunction that's out there, because that was going to always happen, because that's the first thing you do nowadays. Just like last night, what happened? Trump loses in that court where there's only 3 judges. It's a small court, an international trade court in New York, and you had a Republican appointed judge, another Republican appointed judge, and an Obama appointed judge, and they voted 3-0 on the trade. And you're going to get this thing here with Harvard. This was always going to end up in a battle when it comes to student visas and whatnot.
There were an estimated 280,000 Chinese students studying in the U.S. last year. If applied to a broad portion of that number, the move could disrupt a major source of income for American schools and really a critical pipeline of talent for U.S. technology companies too. Even before Rubio's announcement, there was this unease circulating among Chinese students and their relatives about whether students would actually be welcome in the United States amidst what they see as bipartisan anti-China sentiment.
It's not the Chinese people. It's not. I mean, are there some nationalists that's crazy? Yes, they probably same thing about us, people out there, because I see the text message come through. But it is the belief and the party. This isn't trying to open up their hearts and minds and any of that stuff. Yes, these kids are coming here for an education. And when they say it's a big moneymaker, if you don't know, they pay cash. These aren't poor kids. You know, you hear people going, these are poor kids that have come here and they swam across the ocean and they broke bricks in a hot sun. No, these are all wealthy kids who are paying full rate to go to school. And that includes most foreign students. They may get a grant here, a grant there, but most of them, no. It isn't that way. Not happening that way. So this is a moneymaker for them. $280,000. Whew. That is a lot. And they're all at, not many of them at your JCs, junior college, your 13th grade. Elon's gone. For those of you not keeping score, last night was it. He sent out a text message saying, bye. And, of course, the controversies around all of the stuff with Doge.
For months, Musk has been working to slash agencies as a special government employee, attempting to cut trillions in federal spending, but facing resistance from the public, lawmakers, and members of Trump's cabinet. And in the last hours of working for the administration, Musk publicly breaking with the president on his massive spending bill, arguing it would undo their own efforts to shrink the federal government.
Which will, as long as people can vote on the things that they want, they'll vote on the things that they want. If you give a whole bunch of kids the opportunity to grade their own paper with very little repercussion negatively coming to them, what do you think's going to happen? Like if I told you, all right, Belle, you and I are in school, and I told you, hey, they told us we could grade our paper, we could give it whatever we want, and we are not going to get in trouble for it. What are you going to do? You going to give yourself an F?
Yeah, probably an A.
Yeah, probably. Maybe a B. Maybe if I'm like, maybe if I'm feeling generous to the school.
I'm feeling honest.
B, D. No. It's not that. So, yeah, they undermined it. But I got everything out of Doge that I wanted, which was simple. Show everybody how big and bad bureaucracy is, as far as the nightmare it is to get anything done, the cumbersomeness of it. That's what I wanted to see. And that's what we got. Between the lawsuits, the fighting, the political, insanity, and the unions battles that are going on, I got everything I wanted out of it because that is what I knew was going to be a big issue. And I said from day one, he'll have an easier chance of going to Mars, colonizing it on his own, than he will of sorting out the whole thing when it comes to Doge and cutting all this stuff. And it's got to be, look, he's frustrated, and it's got to be a little bit of he's not used to not super succeeding. And if he would have cut a $500 billion, it would have been great. But at the end of the day, how much did he cut? Not a lot, and they added more. So when everybody says, all of these things are real issues, our biggest issue in the country, in my mind, is that giant debt we have. And that giant debt, and I'm talking about just the federal side of stuff, not your local, not that, but that giant debt is so massive. That is truly an emergency. And the more we find out, yes, they're funneling money to people, but we have a spending problem. We have so much money, and we can write checks and print money that we just give it away.
But remember, my favorite thing, that's important. Cut the other stuff.
Cut the other stuff. I'm into cutting as long as it's not my stuff we cut. Woo! Hey, guys, guess what? Super Talk 99.7 WT invites you to a night that you don't want to miss. It's a mid-year review. That's right. It's Tuesday, June 17th. King's Dining Entertainment, Cool Springs. Come on out. Hang out with us. We're going to be out there. It's free. Doesn't cost you anything. We're going to go over Trump's first 6 months of his second term. Special guest, and, of course, you. It's an evening of food, fun, games, broadcast, all that stuff. Dan's going to get there. In fact, Dan's setting up a hug booth. So that'll be fun. Chris is going to be there. I'm going to be there. Matt's going to be there. He's going to be doing a show live from there. Admission is free. If you want more details, check us out at 997WTN.com. It is the Chad Benson Show. Raycon, best earbuds around. Love my Raycon. They are incredible. I was working out this morning, had my Raycons in, fit great, felt great. Guess what? They didn't come out. I'm trying to work out, trying to keep myself, get fitter and stuff. Guess what? They're awesome. Feel and fit matter, because if you're active like me, guys, right? And it's great because it's a perfect Father's Day gift, and you like to do some stuff, it's great to know that these things are going to fall and you don't spend 15 seconds every minute trying to stuff things in your head. That drives me crazy. 8 hours talk time, 32 hours of battery life, fit, feel, comfort, seconds to none, and the fast charging. So awesome. Every 10 minutes gives you 90 minutes of listening power. So what are you waiting for? Save 15%, get a 30-day happiness guarantee. Go to buyraycon.com/Chad today. It's 15% off everything on their site. But get these everyday earbuds from Raycon. Go to buyraycon.com/Chad now.
Another ceasefire deal in Gaza is on the table, and the transgender athlete debate raging in California, and federal funds may be at stake. We'll have those stories coming up at 12:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
It's 6 p.m. and I just got out of bed because I fell asleep at 5 a.m. from playing Minecraft all night. But that's actually completely fine because I don't have a job, so I can do whatever I want for the rest of the day. My mom told me to shower today once again, so I'm just going to walk into the bathroom and walk back out because I'm not doing that. If my mom wants me to shower, she better buy me some shampoo because I can't afford it. PAX East's next week, and I got to make sure my sweatshirt's extra stinky for everyone that meets me.
Now, was that real?
Okay, so here's the thing. Yesterday on my national show, I did this, and my other producer, Anthony, who I love, has been with me for 10 years. He actually, he retires tomorrow. And he sent me this. I go, dude, that's satirical thing. He goes, dude, that's not satirical. And he said it to me, no, I don't think it is. I think this kid is totally real.
Ready with me to talk to my Digikins all day. My sweatshirt's extra stinky for everyone that meets me. Alright, let me get on my Digikin server and put on my headphones and enter a voice call. Hey, Shadow Princess. Ooh. Hey, my Pookie Bear. Meow. And that's usually what my mornings look like. Thanks for watching.
And I thought, that's got to be satire. It's not. I think that guy's real. because they're genuinely kids out there, young men in particular, and I say the word man loosely on this one, that think, because, and part of that's on the parents, right? Mom and dad have done everything for them, and they've decided that mom and dad should continue to do everything for them. That's not my parenting style, as you guys know, because many of you commented on my parenting style with Jack and his hockey. Are you going to play hockey this year? Yeah. No. Why not? You're not good. It's not good. It's a lot of money for you to suck at something. Dad, he is getting out of school in 34 minutes. My son's getting out of school for the summer. So he's going from freshman to sophomore in high school. Is there a better feeling in the world than that last ring? That's it. You leave, you're out, you're saying goodbye to some of your friends or some of the acquaintances, people you see, you're bouncing off. Summer has begun. It is on. Is there a bet? If you could bottle that, that's the greatest. It's the greatest. Like, I was talking to him last night. He was like, Dad, tomorrow's the last day of school. Oh, my God, blah, blah. He was so excited. Like, it was Christmas Eve.
I mean, he gets out in 34 minutes?
Yeah.
So
he's done for the year. He's done.
So they had him go in and he's leaving at 11?
Yeah, he had.
That's crazy. They should have just given him an extra
because they
day
have
off.
to have X amount of hours that they build in, right? So, because this whole week he's been getting out at like noon, 11:30, and I go, "Well, are you done with your?" I go, "When were your finals?" He goes, "My finals were done on Friday." I go, "What are you guys doing?" He goes, remember this the time of the year where they roll the TV in, the old school TV, and push.
And the teacher's like, "Shut up and watch."
That's it. I got to be here, so do you. So shut up. Watch Little House on the Prairie or whatever it is you watched. What other movie they'd let you get away with?
Kids are like, "What the hell's Little House on the Prairie?"
Nowadays. Just sit on your phones and look at stuff, okay? You guys got TikTok. TikTok around. I try to explain to my son that they used to wheel in. I said, Jack, let me tell you how old I am. We used to actually have a projector. Remember that? And to go around and then have the little film thing and it would kind of break up.
And if you're a teacher's pet, you got to run the projector.
Now, if you look at it, like, that's not even like, it looks like an old school film, like one of those exploitation films. That's how bad those things were. Oh, that was the day. Man, now we can go get a summer job. Well, he's coming out here. That's awesome. It's going to be one of those summers. Everybody's got to have that summer. That summer where you just have so much fun, right? He's going to have his sister and him, and his other sister's coming out too. She's a year older, so they're going to just have so much fun running wild. It's the first summer here too in Nashville, so they're super excited. It's going to be great. Go get a job. That would be great. He's got a couple jobs at home because he's part of the deal is when he left hockey, I told him I was going to buy him because he's really into bicycles now. I was going to buy him a Saran, and as part of his birthday and stuff, and he had to raise some of the money, and he's got himself a little job. So good for him. Good for him. Coming up, a lot of stuff still to get to. We'll talk a little bit about tariffs. We've got enhanced games. I don't think I did that yesterday. They want to have the enhanced games. So do you remember, I don't know, steroids when they were bad, but now we make sure that they're not in there? Well, these guys want to do one where they have all of the drugs that they want to see how far they can push the limits of the body. Talk a little bit about that as well. Check us out on YouTube, Twitch, Twitter.
Rumble?
No Rumble.
No Rumble. No Rumble.
Facebook, no Rumble yet, but we'll be there soon. I promise you that. It is Chet Benson, Super Talk 99.7.
Good afternoon. It's 12:30. I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. The full weather forecast is on the way, and it's a four-letter word, and well, it begins with R. So
okay. I thought you were going to drop the F-bomb.
Don't get too excited there. Anyway, aid now beginning to trickle into Gaza, even though aid groups say it's far too little. 2 more people have died, according to UN officials, when desperate Gazans stormed an aid distribution site yesterday. It comes as another deal for a ceasefire is on the table. We hear now from ABC's Ian Pennell.
An Israeli official telling ABC News that U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff, he's proposed this plan that essentially it calls for Hamas to release 10 living hostages and the bodies of 18 deceased hostages. That's in exchange for a 60-day ceasefire and the release of Palestinian prisoners. Now, a senior Hamas official also talking to ABC saying that the IDF would withdraw to a buffer zone and that the US would guarantee that talks would start in those 60 days to try and permanently end the war.
We now move out west, where federal funding could be on the chopping block when a transgender athlete takes the field at a high school competition in Clovis, California over the weekend. Here's ABC's Alex Stone.
This weekend, transgender student athlete A.B. Hernandez is set to participate in girls track and field at the state championships. It led to President Trump calling it unfair, the threat of federal funding being pulled, and U.S. Attorney Bill Asaley announcing a federal investigation.
Potentially file our own civil rights cases where appropriate.
One Republican Assembly member is offering a solution of creating an open division, not girls or boys, to solve the problem. Event organizers say they will award multiple medals in events that transgender athletes compete in.
That is the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News.
Retirement Ready Toolkit from my friends over at Beacon Capital Management. It's not as easy as you think, yet Beacon will help you make it easier than you ever thought it could be when it comes to your retirement. Because once you're done, hey, now what? Well, you got to think about your dollars and cents. You don't want to unretire. That's where Beacon's going to help you. But what about the other things? Taxes. Oh, yeah, right? Like that just doesn't end. What about health insurance, estate planning, long-term care, those kind of things you think about? Let Beacon help you with that. So that's what I want you to do. You call Beacon, then go over and talk to them. Say, hey, they're local. Break bread, as I'd like to say. Call 615-488-9303. Get your free Retirement Ready Toolkit. Comes with a Money Enough for Life book, a retirement planning checklist, and maximizing your retirement income white paper. No cost, no obligation. And then go see them and let them show you what they can do for you when it comes to your retirement. Call Beacon today, 615-488-9303, or check them out online at AskBeaconNow.com. Yeah, yeah. Belle and I had a very long conversation today about music. I was like, Belle, just out of curiosity, what the hell's publishing? How does that work? Who's the publishing? Like, what's ASCAP? Because Belle works in the industry, and I'm always fascinated by that. You know, because I said, because the other day is the first time I'd met Des, and I said, yeah, I was just watching some about you earlier. And he's like, you were? I said, yeah, they were talking about how you in Little Red Corvette, that wasn't actually Prince playing the solo, because everybody thinks Prince played everything of all the time. That was you. He goes, yeah, Prince stole stuff from me all the time. I'm like, I love that. But a lot of you chiming in about, you want to know about my burger. I'm going to tell you the burger story coming up because we got burgers yesterday. Okay, so I'm going to give you guys the burger story. And the Hamas thing is interesting. I'll be honest, for those of you guys don't know, I have a very weird background. I'm part Jewish. Oh, yeah. Yes. Found that out a few years ago. So I don't take all the high holidays off, just a few. I always tell everybody I'm Jewish. But the...
That was good.
But I'm trying to get her to come on. She's at ASU. She's a Jewish student, but she was in the IDF. She's been back, and now she's back again. And when this first went down, when I was out there, we interviewed her a few occasions because she was in the IDF, and she was said, because that's when things were really front of mind. And I asked her, since she'd been back, and she went back and did like a mini tour thing. Because it was all hands on deck for a while. I said, what's it like? She says, to be honest with you, it's awful. And she goes, my country is punishing. They're not trying to eliminate. They're trying to punish at this point in time, is the way it feels. And I said, really? She goes, yeah. She goes, there's no war to be won at this point in time. It's just punishment. And I'm like, that's, their former prime minister said that this is as close to genocide as you're going to get. And like they said, like Jay said earlier, it's not a lot getting through. And what is getting through, it's minimal. So imagine this, you're in a little area where you have got nowhere to go. And now you're being essentially systematically starved out of stuff. And yes, you've had people that have ruined your lives. And this is where I've always said, this is where Palestine has gone. The Palestinians have gone wrong. They never stood up and overthrew the powers that took over the way they should have. If I was Israel, I would have absolutely been all over doing everything I could to unsettle them and get them to rise up against their people, kind of like we've done elsewhere. I know that we haven't, but we have, wink, wink. But she said right now it feels like punishment. Somebody just asked on the text line about the bodies. I don't even know if they know where all the bodies are, to be honest. Because some of the bodies, some of them were alive and were probably killed by Israel through bombings. And they're never going to get those people back. They don't even know where some of them are. I'm the fact that they have 8 alive, I mean... I was sitting there when Jay said they need to go get 8. They're probably like, we got to go get 3 more from somewhere. We need to go get 3 more people because I don't know how many are alive. And they may not know, too. The other thing is, too, people talking. So who may be a spokesperson may not know how many are alive or where they even are. That's the other side of it. Because this group may have had somebody and they think, well, you've got them. Who knows? Who knows? So it is... It's a horrible situation. And we as grown humans need to stand up and say, all right, we've had enough. We've had enough. First of all, Israel is the only democracy in that region. And right now, Bibi's got troubles, and Trump is holding him off because Bibi wants to go after Iran. And so, and the Saudis are telling, hey, don't go after Iran. Don't go do this. Let's not inflame this anymore because this could be a nightmare that we don't want any part of. All of us. So, but the powers that be need to step up because, and this includes Europe. Everybody gets their heads out their butts and start sorting this out. for a change, where you stand up and go, all right, we've had enough. I'm waiting for that. Where's Dad? We'll talk a little bit more about that. A lot of interviews with the FBI director and his assistant. Did you see the Kash Patel interview? Did anybody see that? For whatever reason, they thought, we should probably hold this interview in a high school gym. And we're going to put Kash Patel, who isn't the tallest person, on the biggest chair we could find so his feet dangle like he's a child. Just type in Kash Patel Fox interview and meme and look at it. But Epstein. I'm sure you guys might have talked a little bit about this earlier. Here's Bangino talking about a video that shows that he wasn't murdered. But wait, I thought all the videos were gone. Wait, what?
I just want to be crystal clear on this. I am not asking anyone to believe me. I'm telling you what's there and what isn't.
Right.
There is nothing in the file at this point on the Epstein case, and there's going to be a disclosure on this coming shortly. We are working through there is video. That is something the public does not.
There's video of him killing himself.
No, not the actual act, but the entire MCC Bay. It was only one camera. There's video that when you look at the video, and we will release. That's what's taken a while on this. We are working on cleaning it up to make sure you have an enhanced, and we're going to give the original so you don't think there were any shenanigans. You're going to see there's no one there but him.
Right.
There's just nobody there. So I say to people all the time, if you have a tip, let us know. But there's no DNA, there's no audio, there's no fingerprints, there's no suspects, there's no accomplices, there's no tips, there is nothing. If you have it, I'm happy to see it. There's video clear as day. He's the only person in there and the only person coming out. You can see it.
So wait, I was told there was no video at all. Wasn't that always kind of the thing, that there was no video? The video cameras were all off, so we'll never know. Now there's video.
Yeah, they made a point of saying the video camera wasn't working, which made everybody's head explode in terms of conspiracy theories.
Yeah, like everybody went to lunch. The videos didn't work. His door was closed, but everybody else's was open. I mean, the stuff we had heard about this is, now just because you think it didn't mean that he couldn't have done it to himself based on the fact that he knew certain things were coming and he was, not long for this world anyway. That's always a possibility. I mean, you can spin it however you want.
Yeah, if he had gone to prison on those charges, he would have had a target back on his back immediately.
Yeah, that doesn't.
They don't like child molesters.
No. It's funny. A little side note. I was watching Michael Francisi, the mobster. He was on, I think it was News Nation, and they were talking about how Diddy wanted to be a mobster, have that mobster feel, and he goes, Diddy wouldn't have lasted in the mob because we'd have killed him, because you don't beat a woman like that. We don't take that stuff. That's something you don't do. And I'm like, oh, yeah, it's true. And the same thing here. I mean, he would have been done for. But also, now I feel like, wait a minute, who's gaslighting me here? Because I was told there was no video of this cat killing himself or being the only one in there. And when you say you're the only one in there, well, what exactly does that mean? Like, when you see him, is there video in the thing where you see him do it? Or is there just him going into his cell by himself? Could then I just say, well, somebody could have been in there anyways. See, you can, I think saying there's a video opens up more of a can of worms than just going, leave it. People believe what they believe now. They believe what they believe. Somebody texted me and said, did I say that Israel killed the hostages?
No, you said that some of them could have died due to the bombing.
Due to the bombings, yes, of course. I mean, Israel's bombing stuff, you don't know where the hostages are. That happens. I mean, the kill, if you will, goes to Hamas. But could the bombings have killed the Israelis? Oh, 100%, because they're in tunnels. They're in buildings, or what's left of buildings. So you're blowing stuff up because this is where they're hiding stuff, or they're keeping their people that are, quote unquote, part of the ringleaders. Although they got Sinwar the other day, they're running out of people. So when that starts to happen, yes, you're going to have friendly fire. They use their own people for cannon fodder. So do I think that there are some of those people that were killed by bombings? Oh, 100%. 100%. Because you're looking and you're saying, all right, there's 50 miles of tunnels over here. And we know that they're keeping some of their bigwigs over here and military assets. And you've also got those people there. You don't see who's there with them. So if you bomb that area and it collapses, yeah, it's unfortunate. And those people, God, although that one guy that
it's not like they went after him intentionally.
Yeah, they didn't go after their own people intentionally. Did you see that one, the guy that got out? He said the minute Trump came into office, the way he got treated was 1,000 times better.
So they were afraid.
Of course. They were afraid. Or they're thinking, man, this guy's going to build a resort here, and I really want to work at it. Do I believe in conspiracy theories? A few.
Depends on the theory.
Yeah. That's a wide, do I believe that there are extraterrestrial life? I think there's something out there. Do I think that there is this massive deep state where there are 5 guys who are sitting in a room like puppet masters pulling the strings and at any given time doing stuff? No, I don't think that, but I think there some conspiracy theories have definite rings of truth. And some of them are designed, by the way, to allow that to flourish because it's just easier. People are going to make that happen. So,
sometimes if you let the nuttiness just continue on its way, then people sound ridiculous on their own, and you don't have to put as much effort into hiding the truth of things.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's let the people do the work for you. That's why they used to call it nut picking when the CIA would say, or when they were testing maybe our own technology and people thought they saw a UFO. They would find the wackiest person in the crowd to interview because that would automatically, in most people's minds, go, oh, that's the kind of people that think there's a UFO or there's this, that, and the other. And that puts people off. Like, ew, there's no way. So, no. But do I think there's some stuff out there that we have done? Oh, 100%. The JFK thing, no. I don't think that. I think what that was a comedy of errors and a tragedy of errors. And agencies that were thinking they were better than other agencies. But when I think about RFK Jr. and when I really think about MLK, there's no doubt that we played roles in those things much bigger than we want to admit. And I think the MLK is going to be embarrassing if it ever comes out because I'm still waiting for that stuff. Coming up, I had a burger last night. We'll talk a little bit about that. We got more of your text messages as well. If you missed any of the show, we always say shame on you grab the podcast. It is the Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 99.7. Birch Gold. They are my gold company that I love, my precious metals companies that I work with all the time and have been buying precious metals from them for a long time. I want you to do this. Text the word Benson to 989898 today for Birch Gold. Now, when you do, they're going to get you out an info kit, let you take a look at why gold's important, what's some smart things to do to protect yourself in an event that, let's just say, as everybody tries to decouple from the dollars. Ooh, what happened there? What about the situation? We could see inflation, certain things like this that could affect us. What do you need to do to protect yourself, and how can precious metals be a part of it? Text them now. And the word Benson to 989898 today. A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau. No hard sell, no pushy things like that. They just want to talk to you about what precious metals and gold can do for you, the protection of today, tomorrow, and upside potential. Text the word Benson now to 989898 for Birch Gold. Wellness Institute of Nashville to help you get your back, if you will. They're incredible. Right now, the Big 47 is going on, 47% off your treatments for non-surgical spinal decompression treatment, where you go in there and they get you set up and they get you on the machine that's incredible. And you got Dr. Ashley, and they're out there and they're like, let me tell you what you're going to do. And the next thing, boom, it's like a whole new back. And that's getting your back back. So you go on in there and you call them, right? And you say, hey, Chad sent me 615-246-5009. Zip on over there. And Dr. Mitchell and Ashley will take care of you. They're going to first give you an exam. They're going to build a plan that's right for you. And away you go. That's what I love about them. They take x-rays if they need them, bring your MRI if they have them. So what are you waiting for? Save 47% off non-surgical spinal decompression now with the Wellness Institute of Nashville. And the Big 47 offer going on all year long. Call 615-246-5009 or check out everything they do at painisbad.com.
Another judicial decision comes down on Trump's tariffs and an increased reward for information on the capture of escaped inmates from a New Orleans jail. Those stories coming up and more at 1 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Conspiracy theories are interesting. Chatting with somebody who's talking about the flat earthers. Because they, by the way, if you had no idea the earth was round, right? It's not, Chad. But if you had no idea, they make a compelling argument, some of them. Okay? They do. But this is the one thing I say, do you believe that we have telescopes? They're like, yes. I mean, do you believe we can see out far? Yeah. Why is it that we're flat, yet the other planets are round?
Well, they're not round. You're just seeing them from the side
the
of
dish side. Yeah, like that's they always have some sort. So now they're going up and down. Why aren't they falling off? Well, because that's the thing that makes me laugh. But some conspiracies, they've got more legs than others. There's no doubt about that. And some of them we turn out. And the reason conspiracies stick around is because sometimes they turn out to have more than just a grain of truth. They become, whoa, that's real. That's absolutely real. So, yeah. But the flat earthers, they are fun to chat with. And I'm sure some of you are going to hit me up. Somebody said, no, they actually believe other planets aren't real.
Of course not. Why would they be? We're the only flat disk in the universe.
Did they think we're just in... You can't, at that point in time, what are you doing, right? Like, you can't. I'm like, okay, thank you. I have fun on YouTube. Although YouTube kicked them off for a while, which was amazing. That was their first test. YouTube's first test into seeing how far they could push and pull and maneuver and stop things was the flat earthers. They're like, you know what? Nobody's going to be... There's not a giant political lobby for flat earthers, so we can move them and push them around and see what we can do to quell their insanity. So last night I had burger. It was National Burger Day. And we were going to have Moe's, but my stepdaughter, she had her braces. They twisted and turned and pulled and did all the stuff. So we ended up having the Shake Shack because we let her choose because they make something there that she could eat because her braces are so sensitive. So I was bummed about Moe's, but I've decided Charlie and I are going to Moe's on Saturday. Got a daddy-daughter day.
Oh, that'll be cute.
Yeah, so we're going to do that. We might head over to the zoo, too.
Is Charlie big on burgers and fries?
She loves a plain hamburger.
Yeah,
that's it. She loves
like
fries, but she loves a plain hamburger. That's her jam.
Oh, that's right, because when we went to last time we went out to eat, all she ate was fries.
That's it. Fries. She loves a plain hamburger and fries. It's bizarre. And then she likes, she's like she eats like me. She is going to be 7 soon, and she eats like a 7-year-old. Where Jack, he likes, oh, Dad, I've got hummus, and he likes all that stuff that is. I can't do hummus. I can't. I've tried. But I tell everybody, my palate is through years of trial and error with crappy food I've eaten around the world. Let me tell you, I lost more weight in 2 weeks I think we were in Denmark and Norway because I do not like fish. And I was like, do you guys make anything else? Is there a cow on this island? Oh, my Lord, people. A lot of stuff to get to in the second hour. We're going to do the enhanced games. We'll talk a little bit about what Jay talked about earlier, what's going on in California with the trans athlete debate. And this is where California, it's a petri dish of insanity. But this shows you, though, that these stories become big. And this is why the Democrats struggle, where somebody should come out and just right away say, all right, enough of this. All right? So we'll talk a little bit about that as well. We got some tariff news. Trump was handed a loss, but could it help him? And everybody thinks J.D. Vance and Marco Rubio are the favorites for 2028. But what if this one person says, I want to do it? What does Trump do? If you missed any show, grab the podcast. Happy Thursday. What do we call it? Little Friday?
Friday Eve.
Friday. It's Little Friday. Friday Eve. Baby Friday. Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 997.
Good afternoon. It's 1 o'clock on the dot for you folks wishing Ken were here. Anyway, I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. We've got a full forecast coming up for you here in a couple of minutes. Following last night's decision by a New York-based federal court striking down most of President Trump's tariffs, a similar ruling has been made by another federal court.
This time it's a federal district court judge here in Washington who's ruled the president doesn't have the legal authority to impose tariffs on an emergency basis. Judge Rudolph Contreras found in favor of two small businesses who said they shouldn't have to pay the tariffs, and his order prevents the administration from collecting them. But Contreras has stayed his decision for 2 weeks to allow the administration to move forward with a likely appeal.
That's ABC's Stephen Portnoy reporting. The reward has gone higher for information leading to the capture of two inmates who were still on the loose after escaping from a New Orleans prison. Authorities wouldn't specify where they believe the inmates are, but they say they're confident that they're going to catch these guys. Special agent in charge of the New Orleans Field Division of the Department of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms. His name's Joshua Jackson. He also has this message for people who own firearms in the area.
We want to make sure that firearms are secured in your vehicles. We don't want any handguns, rifles that are unsecured coming into the hands of these two individuals who are still outstanding. Also be vigilant in your home. Make sure your firearms are secured throughout the area until we get these two individuals back into custody.
Well, we now go back out to California with this whole transgender thing. The White House, they're threatening to cut federal spending and funding to California over a transgender athlete who's set to compete in a girls' track and field meet this weekend in Clovis, California. And the case is sparking all kinds of protests and rallies. We hear now from Alex Stone, who is in California.
With the clock ticking to this weekend's track and field state championship, and transgender athlete A.B. Hernandez set to compete in the girls' division, a federal investigation is being launched that could result in a civil rights case. Republican Assembly member David Tangapa is offering a possible solution, making a division that is not defined as being boys or girls.
If we created an open division that everybody gets to compete here, but we still are come into compliance with Title IX, I think that's an actual possible part of the solution.
That is the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News.
think it's going to rain. I could feel it in my bones. Man, I tell you what, heats up the old text line. And tell everybody, Bell, how, if they would like to reach out to in the text line, how they do that.
You can text us at 615-737-9986.
Yeah, I'm fascinated by the flat earth. And this one guy's like, yeah, my girlfriend tells us we live inside of a dome. Well, then you better tell Trump before he goes and builds the dome. What happens to that thing?
You can't have a dome inside of a dome.
You know what it is? I think they believe we live in the, what was that? Truman Show? Is that what it was? With
with Jim Carrey, and he was inside the hexagonal dome.
Yeah. So that's where we live. We live inside of a dome. Did you guys know we live inside of a dome? Well, you do now. I was unaware of that. So that's interesting. And that planets aren't real, and we live inside of a dome.
And birds aren't real.
Well, we've known birds aren't real. You know what's funny about that? Even when those guys went on television, like, nah, we just started it as a joke. And people are like, nope, it's true. They're not real. You're like, wow. So if birds aren't real, what do I see? Like, we were at the zoo, by the way. Nashville Zoo is awesome. It's such an amazing time. We went there last week, took Charlie, and we just had a great time. And she got to see the red panda, which was great. But we're there having a good time. And I saw birds because I did a commercial with a bird. It was awesome. Was that not real?
No, that was not real. That was a drone. They were probably did you hold the bird?
No, the bird likes to eat grapes. The bird doesn't like it's not one of those ones that likes to land on your arm or anything.
Those weren't grapes.
Yeah.
They were energy cells.
They were Oh, goodness me. That is funny. But I remember when those guys went on and they're like, it's not real. And they're like, no, we did that as a joke and it took off. And then they're like, no, that's not real. So I didn't know that. I was totally. Now, is it only our birds in America or is it globally the birds?
It's got to be global.
It's got to be global. Yeah. Somebody's got to be running them. Why don't I find them on the streets then?
What do you mean?
Well, I've hunted and got birds. They seemed pretty real. I don't
those
see.
were just defective drones.
Okay. Man.
Well, the crap on my car certainly seems real.
Some guy just said, if birds aren't real, who's crapping on the windshield?
Yeah. Okay. See, somebody on the text line thinking like me, which is kind of scary. But
there you go.
Yeah.
Who builds the nest? That's true. What's the best conspiracy theory that has some legs where you think I could see that being true? That's a good question. Let us know on the text line. What's the one where you think,
Is it the faked moon landing?
Oh, that is always a good one. Like, who filmed? Was it Kubrick was supposed to film it? You know how I know it wasn't Kubrick? Because they'd still be filming it. If you guys know anything about Kubrick, who was it? Was it that he worked with? Tom Cruise. Right? Eyes Wide Shut or one of those? Tom had never worked with him before, and Tony says, all right, I want you to walk in and out of this door. Okay, tomorrow, that's the first shot. So it'll be set up when you get here. Walk in and out of it. They made him do it like 120 times. And all he was doing was opening the door and walking, because that's how wacky it is. That's how you know that Kubrick didn't film it on the moon. That's how you know that. So let us know what the wildest one is. Denver, underground, deep state, birdseed isn't real. Let us know. We'd love to hear from all of you guys. Last night, Trump and the administration ended up getting a mini loss in a very small court that is one of those courts where you get put on as a federal judge. It's a great court, right? Where you're like, hey, I'm a federal judge. But nobody knows. Like, you're a 3-person panel on trade. It's like one of those ones you want to be on where you get all of the stuff, but none of the hell. Well, guess what?
This is a fully legitimate federal court. I should note, this was a 3-0 opinion. The 3 judges on this court were appointed by President Reagan, President Obama, and President Trump. So I don't know where they're getting this coup language from. This is a huge setback for Trump and his administration. As big a deal as the tariffs were, this is as big a deal in the opposite direction. It essentially pauses, for now, rules illegal and unconstitutional, almost all of the tariffs that have been in place.
Almost all of the tariffs put in place. Not all of them, but almost all of the tariffs, which is confusing. And I think this isn't the worst thing to happen to Trump. This isn't because, we shrunk in the second quarter. Looks like our GDP was down a little bit. If this helps, because it's about winning the next election, because that's what all politics is. It's not about today. It's about winning the next election. Could that potentially help him? And let's get it sorted out. And the thing is, it goes back to Congress again. Everything always ends up at Congress.
And the core of the ruling is this. Typically, it is Congress that controls the tariff power. However, Congress can pass laws giving that power to the president in certain instances. They did that years ago in a statute called the IEPA, the International Emergency Economic Powers Act. Trump then declared, okay, we are in an international economic emergency because of our trade deficits, because of other economic worldwide factors. And this court unanimously 3-0 said that is not an economic emergency. That is not what the law means. Having trade deficits, which we've had for 49 years continuously, that is not an economic emergency and has now struck down for the time being all of those tariffs that were put in place on Trump's first day and then on, quote unquote, Liberation Day, April 2nd.
Liberation Day. So that thing that they put in place, it was in 1977. And we've had trade deficits for 49 years. Like, if you're thinking this is an emergency, that's a slow-moving emergency. Well, yeah, it's kind of slow-moving. Then today, one of the Economic Council guys, I think his name is Kevin Hastings, was out talking about this right here. And then they tried to spin it as, we saw him with the Maria Bartiromo, tried to spin it as, no, this is about not so much the trade deficits and stuff as it is a bunch about the fentanyl.
These activist judges are trying to slow down something right in the middle of really important negotiations. And the idea that the fentanyl crisis in America is not an emergency is so appalling to me that I'm sure that when we appeal, that this decision will be overturned.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, the International Emergency Economic Powers Act of 1977 is what the courts are deeming to say, look, this does not equate to an emergency under this act of 1977. I know that the lawyers for the administration immediately appealed, but what do you want to say about this right now? Strike down of these global tariffs. What happens in the interim now, Kevin?
Well, that's a good question. Well, they're going to give them 2 weeks and it's appeal, and they'll go up the chain. But Congress is supposed to handle tariffs. They're supposed to handle the tariff side of things. And if you guys are looking on television, yes, it's back on. Some guy named Matt Murphy rolled in here and turned it on because Bill's like, I couldn't find the changer. Well, apparently that's the changer.
Put a piece of tape on it.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I'll grab it with the tape around here. So this is an interesting thing. And people are like, well, they're activist judges. No, I don't think they're. Remember, they didn't bring the case. See, if they're looking, and 12 states brought cases, but 2 of these were on behalf of small businesses saying, you arbitrarily put stuff on there, this hurts my business, kind of thing. If you're going to say it's an emergency, because that's the whole thing, they're looking for what's something that is a law that's put in place that nobody's used and it's just been left there because it never sunset, that we can go and jump at and run with. And that's what they did. The emergency, if you want to know the true emergency, and we should all say this, it's how much money you people spend. That's a true emergency. Now, do I think they'll win this up the ladder? You know what I'd like to see, and this sounds weird? Maybe you guys are with me, maybe not. I'd like to see the court shoot it down and put it in Congress's hands. See if they have the cojones to do something. I think I would love to see that. I continue to go back to, once again, this is a Congress thing, and Congress doesn't do what Congress is supposed to do. Their hopes and prayers are Trump will do everything for them. They're like that kid we played earlier. It's like, I'm not doing anything because my mom's going to do it all for me. That's what I feel Congress is. I'm going to let Trump do everything for me because he's got to, because I don't want to do it. And I wouldn't I would be, okay, let's see what you guys are going to do. Let's put up or shut up time.
Well, what's going to happen is first we're going to see what happens on appeal, and we're very confident in our success there because, after all, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of Americans have died because of mostly Chinese fentanyl and Chinese fentanyl coming in from Mexico and Canada. And the idea that having more people die from fentanyl than died in the Vietnam War and that's not an emergency that we need to use every power that we have to try to address is ludicrous to me.
But that's not what the 1977 law was put in for, was for you to go, it's fentanyl. And if it's fentanyl and it's China, why is it on everybody? Because this wasn't knocking down just the Chinese things. This was all of it. But I would like to see Congress do something. It's about time you do something. It's about time we hold their feet to the fire, for God's sakes. You need to do something. And when I look at Elon, you see the frustration. And when you're starting to hear some of these Doge people now who are leaving going, look, government's not as a hot mess as you think it is. They spend bad, but they're not as inefficient as we'd like to believe. But the way they choose to spend things and where they spend it, it's more fraud than anything else, but it's not fraud in a criminal sense, which it should be. But the look on his eyes says how frustrated he is by all of this. The off-putting way that I think the government in itself has handled itself and the childish way shows you that Congress they're not ready for prime time. They don't want to do anything. They want to give up all the power they possibly. You know what they want? They want all of the stuff with none of the responsibility. They want to be lauded. They want to be somewhat in power. They want to be important. They don't want responsibility, which is a sad situation indeed. Love to hear from you. A lot of you chiming in on conspiracy theorists, because we were asking earlier, what's the conspiracy theory you think is big? Some people say we're part of a matrix. That one is very interesting, because the more that you look up, the more that these scientists are out there and they're looking at a lot of this stuff, the more they talk about there's a chance we're in a simulation. So we're the Sims for maybe another world, which is kind of weird. But is it possible? I don't know. Love to hear from you guys. Let us know. Reach out to us. Hit us up on the old text line. Aliens created and putting things in the moon orbit to grow life. That's a good one. What about, there's a lot of those. Bigfoot, is that a conspiracy, though? You think it is?
Well, the attempt to prove that it is a conspiracy, because people have a history of faking evidence on that all the time.
All the time. People want stuff to be, and it's so hard nowadays. Well, it's never been easier in the world to fake something, and it's also never been easier in the world to then fact check it and destroy it. You're counting on people being lazy, which is a good thing to do, because we are, as you well know. Reach out to us. Hit us up on the text line. What's your favorite conspiracy theorist? We talk about that today, because we're talking earlier about Epstein and them coming out saying, hey, we've got video now. He killed himself. And then my first thought was, you told us you didn't have video. Not you, but the powers that be before you said you didn't have video. Where'd this video come from? We'll talk a little bit more about that. A bunch of other stuff to get to. Again, missing the show, grab the podcast. Check us out on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, maybe soon, Rumble. It is Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 99.7. Ruff Greens, ruffgreens.com. Vitamins, minerals, probiotics, omega-3, 6, 9. All these great things packed into a supplement you give your dog on a daily basis. 1 scoop a day, a supplement that is incredible. Powdered, they'll love the taste. You'll love what it does for them. It's going to give your dog's food all the stuff it's lacking, the nutrients it's lacking, all of those things. It's going to give your dog those things. And you're going to be blown away by what it's going to do for your dog. It's going to help with their aches and pains in their joints, their hips. It's going to help with their skin, their fur, their digestive tract, their energy level, and yes, their heart health and immunity. Try a Jumpstart trial bag. It's a $20 value. You get it absolutely free. All they ask you to do is cover the cost of shipping. Don't even change a thing. When you get the bag, just open it up, scoop one scoop a day on their food. That's it. Try it now. Ruffgreens.com/Chad. Use my code Chad. Ruffgreens.com/Chad.
Another judge thwarting President Trump's agenda. The escaped Arkansas prisoner continues to elude authorities, and while they may look like Yogi and Boo Boo, you need to stay clear. We'll explain all that. That's coming up at 1:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Somebody did something stupid with animals.
Yeah, somebody told me one time nature will mess you up.
Nature does. It's one of my big segments. Nature will mess you up. Because why? Because it's nature. It has no care for you.
It does not want to be your friend.
It doesn't. Look, but don't touch. And yes, every once in a while, you might be in a nature situation and nature approaches you. You haven't approached it. Something happens. Not a lot you can do about that. But all too often, people are idiots. And they do things that are stupid. And we discuss that all the time here. I'm going to take a selfie with a shark. Wow, it bit my hands off. Remember that person got mad at me? How dare you say that? I'm like, you take a selfie with a shark, you're an idiot. You take a selfie with any animal that's not at the petting zoo, you're an idiot. And I'm talking about wild animals. I'm not talking about, well, even dogs. Right? Like tomorrow we're going to have a new segment called Chad Does Science. But we're going to talk about the world's most dangerous breeds.
I mean, we're not going to talk about flat Earth.
No, flat Earth is still getting a lot of love on the thing. I do. I find it fascinating. I do. I find it, the whole thing is fascinating. You know, one of the conspiracy, we were talking about a little bit about conspiracy that makes me laugh is but was always, it was one of those ones where you're like, okay, there's enough to make you think. And that was Hitler. Hitler got to Argentina. That was always one that fascinated me. Because if you know anything about Chile and Argentina and Peru and a few places like that, that there's actual German villages up in the mountains where nobody speaks Spanish or English. It's all the Germans. So that was one of the interesting things. That one, I like that one. 9/11's inside job. Interesting. The only thing I want to touch in nature is a set of breasts. Jason, stop it. Oh. Try really looking to the flat earth. Everybody wants to say it's crazy, but yet no one wants to look into it. No, they have. They did that, was it like 2 or 3 months ago?
They've actually been doing it for about the last 700 years.
But what was it, 2 or 3 months ago, all the big flat earthers, didn't they go to Antarctica or they went somewhere and they filmed where, you know, the sun wasn't going to go down or it did go. They did something where the entire thing that they talked about, this is what's going to happen. Well, it didn't happen. And they knew while they were doing their lives that, this might not be what we thought. And then the people watching it who believed in flat earth, they were like, those people are not real.
They're drones.
Organized religion. Yeah. So 9/11 inside job gets a lot of votes. The moon got a lot of votes, too, that we never landed on the moon.
Also, big theories that John Wilkes Booth was not the guy that got buried, that he wasn't killed in that barn in Virginia.
That's right. That was a big one, too. That was like one of the first.
Yeah, it was somebody else that got buried as John Wilkes Booth, and he lived on and had kids and
Billy
got married.
The Kid.
And,
Billy the Kid. There's another one where, you know, being out in the Southwest, because I live for Westerns. Like, I love old Westerns. And being out in the Southwest, we were not too far away from my wife's lived out in New Mexico for a time, and we'd go out and visit family and friends out there, and they were right there where the wars were, the range wars. And Billy the Kid roamed in and around certain parts there all the time. And there's an old conspiracy that, you know, Pat Garrett didn't kill him, let him live, and he went to Mexico, and he died in like the 1920s. So that was a good conspiracy. I like that. Those are fun conspiracies. Some of you have some odd conspiracies. I think we know that. Some of you need to get help.
And a lot of it.
Yeah. Jim Morrison did not die in Paris. I've been to his grave. It's the weirdest thing, dude.
Is he in it?
Maybe. Well, where the headstone is, kind of thing. We were on a tour playing soccer, and we were going, and it's this bizarre, like we're at a big giant gas station, right, on one of the big tour buses because we're a soccer team. We're kids, and there's like a little area where there's like a funeral thing, and there's a thing, and there's Jim Morrison. It's like, that's very bizarre.
Was it vandalized?
No, not yet. No, but, you know, it's like.
Were people leaving, like, flowers and stuff, or was it
there were like a lot of notes, a lot of booze for kids. Even for kids, there's a lot of booze on that grave. Lots of booze.
Here's some more of the stuff that killed you.
Yeah, Elvis lives. Elvis, that was a good one. Elvis, Tupac, and Bruce Lee. None of them died. They're all on an island. That was always a good one. There's a horror movie called Bubba Hotep. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of it.
Yeah, it's got Bruce Campbell in it.
So that movie and Ozzie Davis. Bruce Campbell is Elvis Presley, and he switches with somebody for 1 year to become just a regular person, an Elvis impersonator, so he could have a regular life, and live in this guy's trailer. The trailer blows up. He loses all the paperwork. And so what happens is he ends up eventually he's Elvis, but he can't prove it. He ends up going to a home for old people, and Ozzie Davis thinks he's JFK. Such a great movie. But it has to do with a mummy that comes back and tries to kill people inside of the old folks' home, and it is hilarious. If you have a chance, check it out. Bruce Campbell, great actor. Coming up, talk a little bit about the enhanced games. We're also going to talk about the trans sports athlete insanity that we're still having this conversation, and this is where the Democrats, you want to know why you spent $20 million, get where you need to go? These are the things. It's the Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 99.7.
Good afternoon. It's 1:30, and I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. We'll have a full forecast for you here in a few minutes. A U.S. district judge says that she plans to issue a preliminary injunction that prohibits the Trump administration from revoking Harvard's ability to enroll international students. ABC's Selena Wang, she is in Cambridge, Massachusetts.
The university denies the allegations that the Trump administration is making in providing their reasoning for why they want to ban international students from enrolling at the university. The administration claims that Harvard has failed to create a safe campus environment and that it has fostered anti-Semitism. It has fostered a violent campus environment towards Jewish students. Again, allegations that Harvard denies.
The search continues for an escaped inmate in northwest Arkansas today. Police say that Grant Hardin, a former police chief, was serving time for rape and murder. Bad weather may be slowing down some search efforts today. Faith Abube is in Arkansas.
There have been several sightings across the state, but none of them have turned to be credible leads at this point, which is why they still think that he could be in the immediate area, which is why they're focusing here. There are multiple checkpoints and roadblocks around here. We actually went through one this morning, and one of the first things officers said to us was, hey, we're still looking for that escaped inmate.
We now move to Gallatin. Yes, black bears have been spotted in Gallatin, and officials are warning residents to please use some common sense. Gallatin police reported Thursday, that would be today, that they've received all kinds of calls of bear sightings in the area. And, of course, people are reminded, do not approach or feed any bears. Also, the trash cans and stuff, you may want to keep an eye on them. Move them indoors when possible. And also, keep your pet food inside, and even bird feeders are fair game. So, long story short, if you see a bear, it ain't Yogi, it ain't Boo-Boo, you gotta stay clear. That is the latest news. We've got weather next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News.
Burna Technologies, right here, Nashville, Franklin, to be exact. You can go over there and check them out. Now, these they call them launchers, but they look like guns. They're everything but a gun. But what they shoot is less lethal force that will knock you the blank out. But what I love about Burna is, first of all, there's no waiting period. There is no worry about getting a license, conceal, carry, any of that stuff. You can carry it in all 50 states, everywhere. They are amazing. And if you're new to, I'm a big 2A proponent, but training is expensive. Doing those kinds of things is expensive. This is something you can do for a fraction of the cost. You can protect yourself anywhere and practice, like I said, which is incredible. And their new Burna CL, you got to see this thing. It is incredible. It looks, feels, it's awesome. So check it out. Burna Technologies. Check them out. Go over, see what they've got. Right? Go fire some of these things off. Check out the launchers. You will be blown away. You can get 10% off. Just mention my name. They're open 7 days a week. Hours may vary, so give them a call. 615-558-0534. 615-558-0534 for Burna Technologies. Feels like a Creed song. In freedom, you should know your way. Somebody texted in, well, several people go, I can't believe that they have to put out warnings like, don't touch the bears. We also have put warnings on things like, don't eat the soap.
Don't tell me what to do.
Isn't it? I don't know why we have to put warnings on. Well, because we're a litigious society. But if you, okay, so let's just say, if I was a judge, and right, this, you guys call me an activist judge because I've already got it in my mind what I would do. That's a real activist judge. So if you come before my court and you're like, I got really sick because I ate a whole bunch of Tide Pods, I would say, you're a dumbass. You don't eat those. You wash clothes. You wash stuff with that kind of stuff. Don't eat the detergent. Don't eat soap washing stuff, you idiot. And then send them on their way.
If you're that dumb, you deserve to be publicly shamed.
Oh, absolutely. We need more public shaming. For the right reasons. For the right reasons. But I was reading here on WSMP.com. Do not approach or feed the bear. Don't do that. Secure your trash can. Keep pet food indoors. And the pet's like, what about keeping the pets indoors? And remove bird feeders. Why? They're not real. Or any other item that could attract a hungry bear. And my favorite thing is, if you see the bear, give it space. My duty's done. That's all you got to say. My duty is done. I've said it. This is interesting. So they're making their rounds. Alex Thompson and Jake Tapper. You guys remember they got that new book out about, Biden and his failures. And I think they were on the Free Press with Bari Weiss. It's great, by the way. You should watch that. If you're a free-minded, open-thinking.
I love his show.
Yeah, so Bari Weiss, yeah, he's great. But she's awesome. So, but they've got several people that do stuff there. So Bari had them on, and they were talking about Trump and the lawfare that took place. And they got onto this. And it's a little refreshing to hear old Jake Tapper say, well, you know what? I kind of screwed up here.
I look at the way I covered, the president, some of the trials of the president, I thought were, I think it is problematic when people run for prosecutor and promise to go after a specific politician. And both Letitia James, the Attorney General of New York, and Alvin Bragg, the District Attorney of New York, both of them did that. And that, to me, is problematic because you're not saying this is the offense and we need to bring justice to this perpetrator. You're saying, I'm going to go after him. And I think that there was a degree to which that was tolerated by the media writ large. I mean, I did note it at the time, but and when Trump does the same thing, and he's the president, so it's also a different degree, people perceive it as more problematic.
He's right. Look, there's some serious questions you can ask about any president and politician and people. But when your goal is to get somebody, you've got the conviction, you just need to find the crime. And when you're running on, I'm going to take this person down. And, well, what did they do? It doesn't matter. Well, no, it matters. And the media, once again, failed. And I think this has been an interesting lesson for Jake Tapper to get out there because the media has done what he didn't do. They're pushing back hard on him, asking him real questions, which is a good thing. Maybe it opens his eyes. This is going to change the way he votes or believes. No, but I think what it might do is give him a fresh perspective, and we should want that in our media. We should want that in our journalism. You guys get mad at me because I will, I'm not afraid to say I'm not a fan of that. I'm not a fan of what the administration is doing or Trump is doing. I'm not a fan of it because I look at everything, I can compartmentalize and say I love a lot. I don't have to love everything. Some of the stuff is great. Some of it is ridiculous. Some of it's for show. So you should be able to challenge, even if you support something, what people might do to overstep. And I'm glad that they're looking at this in a different way. Because Alex Thompson is the guy that's with him whenever you see Jake Tapper doing these interviews. That's the guy that worked for Axios that actually did the job of coming and looking and asking and searching and going hard at the he's not well. That's the guy that was there really doing it. Why does he need Jake Tapper? Because it's nice to have a big name. It is. We're taking some of your text messages, the ones that aren't. Actually, some of them are insane, but some of them aren't. Don't drink battery acid. We were talking about like things not to do. Nathan from Busy Bee texted in. He said they've got instructions on preparation H and what not to do with it. Although, can I say this? Preparation H, if you ask models and you ask people that work in the makeup beauty world, they will use it in certain areas on their faces and eyes to try to tighten the skin and stuff, which is, again, weird. Very weird, an odd thing, but I understand. Somebody said, did anybody hang out to see the bear and find out if he did indeed poop in the woods? No, they did not. Meanwhile, California... doing California.
With the clock ticking to this weekend's track and field state championship and transgender athlete A.B. Hernandez set to compete in the girls' division, a federal investigation is being launched that could result in a civil rights case. Republican Assembly member David Tangepaw is offering a possible solution, making a division that is not defined as being boys or girls.
If we created an open division that everybody gets to compete here, but we still are come into compliance with Title IX, I think that's an actual possible part of the solution.
So, I don't know how you do that. Like, who's going to compete in that? It's going to be one person. And Trump, here's the beauty of what the Republicans were able to do in this situation. There's not a lot of boys playing in women's sports, and that's the only thing we're ever talking about, right? Well, how many times do we have to say this? At no point in time are we having these conversations about a girl named Linda that becomes Larry and then goes out and is the starting quarterback and decimates people, or is playing basketball and it's like, it's not fair. Larry is a chick, but Larry's so good. He's crushing us. You don't have that conversation. It goes in one direction. It does. It goes in one direction. And why that they're coming hard after this is because there's federal dollars. And, and there are a ton of sports organizations out there that while publicly they're trying to walk a fine line, because that's what everybody does now. They walk the fine line. Privately, they're happy with what the Trump administration is doing when it's coming down hard on this, because it takes, like everything else, it takes that issue off their plate that is an issue that becomes the giant issue. And so, because you've got the big CIF. So CIF is the California Interscholastic Federation. So that's their big sports thing there. And you've got this long jumper competing that smoked everybody and is obviously a dude. All right, this isn't about you. It's about the activists and the people that push. This is about them and that insanity. But when you speak with dollars, like Trump's trying to do with the colleges, that gets people's attention.
America's best and America's bravest.
Tonight, President Trump is threatening to revoke federal funding from California over a 16-year-old transgender athlete from the Inland Empire. The president blasting Governor Newsom on his social media site, saying in part, under his leadership, he continues to illegally allow men to play in women's sports. Large-scale federal funding will be held back, maybe permanently, if the executive order on this subject matter is not adhered to. Also saying he's ordering local authorities, if necessary, to not allow the transition person to compete in the state finals.
Which I don't know how that is or isn't going to happen. Authorities show up and arrest that person. I don't know. California and states' rights, if that's what CIF wants to do, and somebody, they create an open league, said, it's not part of any solution. I don't want to hammer these people that are confused and have some serious issues mentally. I think that people go wrong in that direction, and it doesn't work. And it becomes, again, about everybody else fighting over something. And sports is a wonderful thing. But no, it's not fair. And it goes back to the thing we've talked about with girls. We never asked the girls, hey, is it okay if you get your sport invaded by somebody who is physically way more gifted than you are just from birth? And through their puberty, it explodes. And no matter what we're going to be able to do, that's not going to change. And you can't ask that question. Well, you should be damn skippy. You should be able to ask that question. 100%. But somewhere we decided, no, you couldn't even ask that question. You couldn't even ask that question about whether or not you would feel comfortable with that person being inside your locker room. Which, as you and I both know, if we were 15 guys and we had a chance to pretend to be a girl and wander into a girl's locker room, hell to the yeah, we'd have done it. But it's different. Is it? Is it?
Mr. Trump appears to be referring to Jurupa Valley High School junior A.B. Hernandez, who took first place over the weekend in the triple jump at the girls' track and field competition and qualified for the state finals. Students weighing in.
If they identify as female, then they should be allowed to participate in the sports that, like female sports, if they identify as a female.
Trans athletes are completely banned. It would cause like a sort of ripple effect with just transphobia. I also don't think it's fair that they're competing in normal women's sports.
That was funny. The guy's like, I don't want transphobia, but at the same time, it's not fair. It's not.
So wasn't that him being transphobic? If he's saying it's not fair, isn't that transphobia?
That's a good question there, Bill. That's a very good question. And an open league, and you know what? Here's the thing. I would be fine with it. You know why I would be fine with an open league? Let's put everybody out there and see what happens. Because what you're going to find is there are going to be some guys who go, screw it, I'll play in the open league. And then what ends up happening? They even beat that trans kid by 40 yards. And all of a sudden, you realize what giant gap there is between men and women and boys and girls. Oh, yeah. So the fight is still on. And the Democrats, here's something that is a cultural issue that you are failing at. And you better figure out what to do. Coming up, some more of your conspiracy theories that are permeating through the text line. We're asking, what are the best conspiracy theories out there that you might think, you know what? I could see that. I could see that. John Wilkes Booth, we've had some people send stuff like that. Jay brought that up, that he wouldn't get. And I thought, I forgot about that one. Billy the Kid. But we've also talked about the moon landing. It's got a lot of love. And Flat Earth, man. Flat Earth is exciting. Flat Earth is interesting because people who don't believe the Earth is flat are fascinated by Flat Earth people. If that makes sense. It's the Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 99.7. Bulwark Capital. My buddies over at Bulwark want to talk to you about your investments, about your retirement. What are you doing? Are you in a situation where they just gave you a cookie cutter situation? This is for people who are serious about their retirement and their investments. Serious about not just being in one thing, but being able to diversify in ways you cannot believe. This is what Bulwark does. They want to give you a second opinion. What's it hurt, right? It's free. It's a second opinion. They go through your portfolio, show you all the hidden. First thing they're going to do is they're going to show you, you've got a lot of hidden costs you didn't know about. My buddy Zach Abraham is Chief Investment Officer over there. He'll tell you, people are always surprised. Sometimes people are even in decent positions, but they don't realize the cost that it's costing them. So why not get a second opinion with them? They're going to show you how they lower risk, lower costs, and use opportunities to grab the most when it matters. You get one retirement, make it work for you, set it up right for you and your needs with my buddies over at Bulwark. This is what I want you to do. Schedule your free, it's absolutely free, second opinion. Go to knowyourriskpodcast.com. Knowyourriskpodcast.com. That's Podcast, podcast.com. Go there, Check it out or call 866-779-RISK today for Bulwark Capital. Investment advisory services offered through Trek Financial LLC, an SEC registered investment advisor. Investment involve risk, not a guarantee. Past performance not guarantee future results. Trek 25217.
The Trump administration appealing a court's tariff decision, a brazen gun store robbery in Robertson County this morning, and a Metro teacher resigns after being investigated. We'll have these stories at 2 p.m. on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Chiming in, a lot of you on our conspiracy theory. Bigfoot, is he really the greatest hide-and-seeker of all time? Says one person. He's the champion of the world. Let's see here. Pizzagate, the Rod Stewart one, as well as, what was his name? The actor. Officer and a Gentleman. What the hell's that guy's name? Come on, Bell, you know. Officer and a Gentleman?
Richard Gere.
Richard Gere. There's one of those out there as well. The, man, there's a lot of conspiracies. 9/11's also a big one. The guy who blew up 2nd Street in Nashville did it because of reptilians. The reptilian one is also very interesting.
Actually, there was a conspiracy theory that was floating around that he blew up the Winnebago where he did because there was an AT&T cluster for cell towers or something like that there, and supposedly they were using that cell tower to, I can't remember the details, but I don't know, invade people's minds or something. But it was a really good, ridiculous one for a while.
Yeah, ridiculous. There's one in California, and it's become prominent over the last several months because of Diddy, that there's a special underground freeway for the wealthy and the stars, so they don't have to sit in traffic, but they can all do things. And Diddy used that to hide things.
So did anybody that was ever an A-lister that became like a D-lister just not, they were like, okay, I'll be quiet about this so nobody finds out.
Like they were super popular, right? And then all of a sudden you're like, like Armie Hammer was a perfect example.
Yeah, he went from being able to use it to not being able to use it, but not being able to talk about it.
So Armie Hammer, we got to get him on the show. He's got a podcast. He's an interesting guy.
He's got a few recipes too.
Well, it's funny. He's very open about it. That's why he wanted to do it. If you guys know who he is, Armie Hammer was a big actor.
He played the Lone Ranger with Johnny Depp.
He was the Lone Ranger's. He was the sidekick to Tonto in the Lone Ranger movie.
Sidekick in the Lone Ranger.
But he was in several big movies, and yeah, he's from the family, the Armie Hammer family, and he had some weird kinks, like I would like to barbecue and eat you. And he went from being he was on Entourage. Remember, he was Vinny's like one of his foils. And the minute that thing came out, he just was gone. We should get him on. That'd be interesting. But yeah, like, what are we going to do? Hey, we got a special freeway under here that everybody who's in Hollywood gets a wink, wink, nudge, nudge. But the minute what do they, wipe your brain so you don't think about it? Come on. Coming up, third hour of the show, trade schools. Getting some love and then some. Trump's threatening to give a lot of money from Harvard to trade schools. We'll talk a little bit about that. Moms under a lot of pressure. And it's interesting because I want to talk to you about dads. Because whenever I hear any of these things, it's always about moms. Nobody ever gives any love to dad, right? Remember Chris Rock saying, nobody ever thanks dad, right? He's out there knocking out the rent. He should get the big chicken wing. It's the Chad Benson Show. Super Talk 99.7.
Good afternoon. It is 2 p.m. and I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. A weather forecast is just minutes away. The Trump administration appealing last night's ruling by a New York-based federal court that stops most of the president's tariffs in their tracks. Here's ABC's Stephen Portnoy with the story.
In response to the ruling, the administration is asking the three-judge panel to pause its own order pending appeal, saying that not doing so would cause a foreign policy disaster scenario, that it would destroy a carefully negotiated agreement with China and shatter other talks still ongoing. The court ruled late Wednesday that President Trump exceeded his authority by invoking emergency powers that had never been used by a president to impose global tariffs.
In Robertson County, a vehicle was used to ram into a gun store early this morning. Police were called to the Guns and Leather on Highway 41 about 5 o'clock this morning. Police believe a group of suspects used a vehicle to back into the glass door at a high rate of speed to get into the shop. A police officer was on patrol in the area, and he spotted what looked like a burglary in progress. According to Greenbrier Police, 2 suspects took off out of the store holding guns. One jumped into a waiting vehicle and drove off, while the other just ran away on foot. Police followed the vehicle, but they lost track of it. It's believed between 4 and 6 AR-15s or AK-47 rifles were taken. The Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms and Explosives, they're all assisting with the investigation. Back here in Nashville, a Metro Nashville first-grade teacher has resigned after a district investigation found that she taped a student to a chair and used other inappropriate discipline methods in her classroom. according to internal documents that Fox 17 News here in Nashville uncovered. Danielle Roan, a first-grade teacher at Mount View Elementary, was placed on administrative leave last month after a number of students and even some staff members reported some alarming behavior. The investigation revealed that Roan had allegedly taped students' legs to chairs, taped some kids' mouths shut, also forced students to run laps at recess, and also required them to stand facing the wall for extended periods of time. That is the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News.
I wish, and I keep saying I hope they rebuild the studio because I like standing, and I'm kind of like Jim Cramer when I do my national show, when I do stuff, because I'm always moving around. I got stuff, and my cat comes in every once in a while on my national. I was telling Belle today,
eat your pen.
I'm in there trying to prepare for this show in between, and my cat wanders in. And he'll do it in the middle of my lives every once in a while. And he comes in and he steals the pen out of my hand, holds it like like he's got thumbs, and then he starts biting it, and then he attacks me, which is great. And I always say,
maybe it's a critique on your lives.
Could be
live read.
It's you never know with him. Speaking of that, Glock store open house 31st. Super Talk 99.7. It's one of the big parties of the year. Get out there. 5th annual open house Saturday, May 31st from 10 a.m. till 2. So it's happened, and you get out there, open doors, everybody cruise on out there. Nashville, join the fun. It's famous for their incredible raffles. Ooh, and this year, it's going to be nonstop fun all day long. You're the best chance ever to win some gear, including a custom Glock handgun. So come out and say hi to everybody who's going to be out there from the station. Deals are super good. If you want more info, go to 997WTN.com. So Elon Musk, I'm looking at this. He's gone back. He says he's done with politics. I don't blame him. You need politics because politics get you contracts. But I don't blame him being done with politics. The frustration that, he stepped on a lot of toes, which I never had a problem with because it's in that situation, first of all, he promised a lot and delivered very little. And is it all Elon's fault? No. Was he going to find $2 trillion in cuts? Never going to happen. The fact is, I think he's very upset too, perturbed by the way that a lot of this is shaking itself out because he went through hell. And he went through it in a major way. And I'm sitting there going, man, talk about somebody whose name became mud. That was once, kind of a beloved, wacky figure of super eccentric and all of the things, and people would marvel at him, to somebody who really, took it in the grundle. And what did he get for it? Couldn't really put a number on how much was saved. Wasn't a lot. I got what I thought we were going to get out of it, which was government's big, it's bulky, bureaucracy sucks. We waste money. There's some fraud, but not a lot. There's abuse, but it's not we're far more efficient than we are. But we're also a massive. It's like
sanctioned abuse. It's sanctioned by Congress and signed into law by the president.
There you go. It's it. It's one of those things where the lawmakers write the laws that they live above. When I hear young people say, "I don't want capitalism. I don't want this kind of capitalism. This is crony capitalism. This is hand in your buddy stuff." Right? Like you want to talk about Nepo babies. This is Nepo capitalism. It's your pals, it's your friends, it's who you know, it's not what you know. It's how you can help them, which will decide how much they help you.
The less power government has, the less ability they have to abuse things. So if you have a small government that doesn't have a lot of ability to interfere in your life, there's less that companies are going to spend money trying to lobby and bribe and all this other stuff because government won't be able to do anything for them.
No. And that's that. Our founding fathers when they put on their wigs, they weren't thinking to themselves, I'm putting on my wig, I'm going to town because I'm going to go find people that were willing to put my wife Martha on a board so she can get 8.6 shillings sterling or whatever wacky thing they were trading back there. No, it's not what they wanted. And Bell's right, man. The power, the K Street, if you know what K Street is, so if you go to D.C., there's a famous row, across the street from essentially the Capitol and everything. It's K Street. K Street's where all the lobbyists are. That's where all the power is. Because money craves power. Power needs money. It's Reese's peanut butter cups, but for evil things. And so they go and court it. And lo and behold, this is why we have the nightmare that we have. We have, and I look at the Republicans right now, and I know everybody's like, well, Massey's this, and everybody's a no. You can't be, if you're honest with yourself, you can't be happy with this. You can't be going, hey, this bill's going to be great. This giant, we're going to raise the debt limit by $5 trillion or $4.5 trillion, and somehow that's magic. That's why Elon's pissed, because he walked away and said, you can be big, you can be beautiful, it can't be both.
And they're not raising the debt limit to not spend that money.
Oh, yeah. They're fine maxing out their card.
No, they're fine maxing out your card.
Or our card. You know what? They're not even maxing out Bell's card, Jay's card, my card. They're maxing out my kids' cards at this point. And their kids, if they ever have kids. That's the frustration we should all feel. And I know when I started talking to EJ about, she's like, well, there's some good things. That's great. There's some good things in it. Okay. But the thing that, when everybody says, well, trade hurts us and it's an evil thing that's happening. And if we got this, we are so far upside down. Honest to God, I wish he would call Dave Ramsey. Wouldn't that be great? Well, Dave, we owe $36 trillion. Okay, what do you make here? About $4.5 trillion. But our expenditures are between 6 and, he would put America on rice and beans or whatever he tells everybody to get. Is it dogs and beans or rice and beans?
No, it's rice and beans, beans and rice.
Yeah. He would. I mean, I always go back to that movie, Dave. If you guys have never seen that movie, Dave, it is hilarious with Kevin Kline and Charles Grodin. And Charles Grodin, he has like a small... Kevin Kline is a lookalike to the president who dies, and it's kind of like what we just went through. And they get a lookalike to pretend to be the president until they can sort it out behind the scenes. And he wants to keep something that he thinks is good, like an inner city program. So they're like, go ahead, if you can find a way to keep it. He brings Charles Grodin in, who's just like a regular like accountant. And he goes, who does these books? Do these people not understand math? No, because when you can print money, because remember, inflation comes from where? Outside of the craziness of what took place on, in COVID and the supply chains breaking. Inflation comes from one place, DC, because they can print money. So, no, he didn't get all the things he wanted done. And I think he was also a little surprised about, the not only the way he was hated, but also the fact that, it wasn't as the core programs weren't run as poorly as people think. And I know one of the big Doge guys who was let go said, I was let go because I did an interview, and I was surprised. And I told him, look, I'm surprised that this, our government is not as inefficient. So what does that mean? Well, that means that we've got a spending problem. Since I was a kid, we've had a spending problem. And that will continue to happen because there's nobody reining these people in. And these people, Congress, they'll do what they've always done. They'll retire right around the time it's going to become a giant nightmare. And they'll leave and go, oh. They don't want to be the last one to kick the can against the wall, where they can't go over the wall. They can't go around the wall. They're not going to go through the wall.
When AI hits and actually starts to eliminate large-scale numbers of jobs, that's when... If we don't have our fiscal house in order, that's when the government is going to be so looked to for help and support that it'll probably be the thing that crashes the economy.
Yeah, it's a possibility. I was thinking last night, do you think they tax robots? I think they have to at some point in time, don't you think?
Yeah, I would think so. If just as a sales tax purchase, if nothing else.
Yeah. So, but you figure there's going to have to be a robot tax if you have robots, because if you replace 75, 100 workers with robots, taxing them because you just took taxes away, and so you're going to have to come up with something where you tax them. But you're right. I mean, we got issues, and
they'll use a robot tax to incentivize keeping human workers.
Yeah, it's a possibility. That is a possibility. Here's the thing, though: if all things were equal, the robot's going to win in a manufacturing setting if you can only work 8 hours, and he can work. And I say it can work 20, whatever it identifies as. Can work 24 straight hours without a break for the most part. So that's going to be interesting. Do you tax him for all 24 hours? Do you tax him by the hour the robot's on? They're going to come up with something, and then states will come up with something. That will happen. There's no doubt. There's no doubt about that. AI, and we're going to get to it in a little bit, trade school, but the powers that be are talking about the bloodbath they think is coming when it comes to, because I think a lot of people thought AI is coming for all these white-collar workers. They're looking right at you. They think 1 in 5 jobs is going to be gone within the next 24 months for white-collar workers. And who was it? I think, was it Volvo just let go 1,500? Something like that. And they said the reason that technological revamping, because they've got AI to do certain things that people, weren't going to be able to do. Ooh, it's going to be exciting. But you've got to figure out how you incentivize people to learn and work. And we talked about it yesterday about the prompting. Prompting is going to be the thing of the future. Prompting is, and if you don't know what prompting is, we touched on it yesterday with our tech nerd, Paul, and that is essentially becoming an engineer, crafting the thing that you put inside of whatever thing you're working with. That is the thing that is going to be important. But one thing I do know is if you take away people's incentive, if you take away people's will and want, that's when you have trouble. So it's the fine balance coming. Maybe, though, if we got robots, they'll balance the budget. How about that? How great would that be? Hey, we got an AI in here? Think balance the budget in 5 minutes?
If AI is going to be afraid of getting shut down, at some point it's going to think, I can print all the money I want.
Do you think here's something else about the AI. If we tax it, will it want at some point in time will it want representation?
I would imagine so if it's already afraid of being turned off.
Yeah. So that's all these questions. Guys, we ask the hard questions when others just don't. A lot of conspiracy theories we're talking about today, conspiracy theories. We got onto some of the wacky stuff that's out there. What is your conspiracy theory? We'd love to hear from you guys. One of the interesting things that a lot of Hitler stuff, there's several of those that Hitler escaped. What was that movie, Hellboy? Remember when the guy goes to there first and he meets with the guy and he goes, and that's when the occult wars entered in 1955 when Hitler died. And they're like, he died in 45. He goes, did he now? Like that, so that's spectacular. So what is your conspiracy theory that you think has a modicum of truth in it? Let us know. We'd love to hear from you guys. Text the program. Remember Ocean Gate? We didn't have a chance to touch on this yesterday. We're going to do that. We'll also probably try to squeeze in the enhanced games as well. It is the Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 99.7. Ruff Greens, ruffgreens.com. Vitamins, minerals, probiotics, omega-3, 6, 9, all this incredible stuff packed into an amazing supplement you give your dog on a daily basis. And your dog will love it. And they'll love the taste of it. And you're thinking, what is it, Jed? It is a supplement. It's the number one supplement for dogs. It's a sprinkle on top of their food every day. They love the taste. You love what it does for them. It's going to help them in so many ways, from aches and pains in their joints, to digestive tract, to skin and fur, to heart health, immunity, and so much more. And longevity. In a healthy way, which is important. You want your dog to be healthier and happier longer? This is it. You don't have to change a thing with your dog's food. All you have to do is sprinkle this on once a day. Try a Jumpstart trial bag. It is a $20 value. You get it for free. Just cover the cost of shipping. You can grab it by going to ruffgreens.com/chat. ruffgreens.com/chat.
The White House defending its position on President Trump's tariff policy, and the reward has gone even higher for information that leads to the capture of 2 New Orleans jail escapees. We'll have those stories at 2:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
It was a trip that turned to tragedy. A submersible heading to the Titanic 3,800 metres down. But OceanGate's Titan sub suffered a catastrophic failure, killing all 5 people on board. They were British explorer Hamish Harding, Suleiman Dawood and his father, British-Pakistani businessman Shahzada Dawood, French diver P.H. Nargiolais and Stockton Rush, OceanGate CEO. The US Coast Guard's Marine Board of Investigation is looking into the disaster. Footage they recently discovered from Titan's support ship has been submitted as evidence for their investigation.
You will hear a noise that is external to the ship, or external to the room, I should say, and you will see their reaction to the noise.
Stockton Rush's wife Wendy is waiting for messages from the sub as it nears the sea floor.
Yeah, 3,800. I remember when that happened? It's insane. And that was another conspiracy theory. They did that to hide certain things because they were doing certain things. Yeah, they killed they killed 5 people heading to the Titanic. Or this guy's hubris killed 5 people. I would never, we were watching, who was that guy we were watching yesterday talk about it? You said you like him. He does the history stuff.
Oh, I can't remember his name, but he's had multiple shows on the History Channel.
And he's big, tall guy, cool voice. He talks about, he was on it. He goes, so I'm on this thing, and nothing works. They didn't go down to the Titanic. These were practice dives. I think they were actually in a lake. And he goes, everything's failing. The system shuts down. The lights go off. They can't, and they've got scuba divers out there saying, hey, this thing's open in the back. And he goes, like 6 weeks later, they're heading down there. So if you listen to this is when the wife hears something.
What was that bang?
So at that point you said, what was that bang?
What was that bang?
I'm going to back up and play it one more time. It sounds like a door slamming.
Yeah. What was that bang?
What was that? Well, that was the thing coming apart. I mean, it was, and I felt so bad for the young kid, the Pakistani English kid that went down there with his dad, because he was his sister and his mom said he was terrified. He didn't want to go because he was worried about this. He was terrified to go down there because he just had a sinking feeling, but he didn't want to let his dad down. So he wanted to, nut up and be strong. And that cost him.
The noise is a sound of Titan imploding. But moments later, Wendy Rush gets a message from the sub.
Drop 2 weights. Titan, drop 2 weights.
She mistakenly seems to think everything's okay. But in fact, it's taken longer for the message to arrive than the sound of the implosion. Everyone on board is dead.
And they knew they were going to die. He knew. He knew what was happening. He knew it was falling apart. And now you're finding out, as they do the investigation, this thing was, how should we say this, fallen apart for a while.
US Coast Guard says it has also now identified the moment the sub started to fail. At the front, there's a titanium dome with a viewport. And at the rear is another dome covered by a tail cone. The passengers were in this middle section, the hull. It's made from carbon fibre, a material that's highly unpredictable at depth. The hull is 5 inches, 13 centimetres thick, and it's made up of multiple layers. But these layers can come apart. A known problem called delamination. The sub was fitted with multiple sensors, and in 2022, during Titan's 80th dive, they picked up a loud bang. Stockton Rush said the noise was probably the sub shifting in its frame, but analysis of the data now shows this was the layers of carbon fibre breaking apart. Every dive after this one was a disaster waiting to happen.
Their system said there has been a fundamental change in the material of your carbon fiber, and it was no longer structurally sound. Delamination at dive 80 was the beginning of the end, and everyone that stepped on board the Titan after dive 80 was risking their life.
That guy It wasn't if, but when. He wanted to be Elon Musk and Indiana Jones and Jacques Cousteau. He wanted to be this guy that was, I'm taking chances and doing all of these kind of things. And, you know, if you're doing it on your own, like the crocodile hunter, right? He does it on his own. Well, he did. But when you put other people at risk, the hubris was tremendous. And it sucked. But there's Josh Gates, by the way. Several people have chimed in. Josh Gates is the guy.
Yeah, that was driving me nuts that I couldn't remember his name.
But you put people at risk, and that was your hubris. If you wanted to dive down there, you know, you're not James Cameron. You know what James Cameron has? Billions of dollars at his fingertips. You didn't. And it cost people their lives. That's the whole nature will mess you up thing. There's a reason people don't live down there, except for Atlantis, which we know several of you have chimed in about. Coming up, AI taking over the world. Interesting. We'll talk a little bit about that, some trade school stuff as well. Try to squeeze in some more fun here. It is the Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 99.7.
Good afternoon. It's 2:30. I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. A full forecast is coming up. The White House defending its position on President Trump's tariff policy after two federal courts blocked most of the tariffs, saying they're against the law. One federal judge said the president does not have the power under the International Emergency Economic Powers Act to reorder the global economy, as they put it. At the White House press briefing today, Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said they are prepared to take their legal fight all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court.
The president's rationale for imposing these powerful tariffs was legally sound and grounded in common sense. President Trump correctly believes that America cannot function safely long-term if we are unable to scale advanced domestic manufacturing capacity, have our own secure critical supply chains, and our defense industrial base is dependent on foreign adversaries.
We now head down to New Orleans, where the reward has gone higher for information leading to the capture of two inmates who were still on the loose after escaping from a prison there nearly 2 weeks ago. Authorities wouldn't specify where they think the inmates are, but they say they're confident they know where they are and they will catch these guys. Jonathan Tapp, he is the special agent in charge of the New Orleans field office of the FBI. And Colonel Robert Hodges, he's with the Louisiana State Police.
We're confident that we have strong investigative leads as to their whereabouts. But we still need the public's help, because as soon as we get one lead, then they relocate to another place.
That is the latest news. We've got weather next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News.
Busy Bee Heating and Cooling and Plumbing and all the stuff. Let me tell you something, guys. They've got great, the rebates are still out there, and the rebates are awesome. Join the Busy Bee Club. We can talk about that, but one thing I want to focus on right now is opportunities for you. They're having an open house, right? So they're hiring. They got an open house going on May 31st, 10 till 2. So if you got 3 years plus experience in plumbing and HVAC, they're hiring for both. Guess what? These are the service install departments. They want to talk to you. Pay range starts from $30 to $39 hourly with health benefits, 2 weeks pay time off. Offices are closed, federal holidays, your birthday, and more. Not closing it for your birthday, but you don't have to work is what we're telling you there. And if you're a recent graduate and you're relatively new and you're getting into the trades, and I'm telling you, how much do I love them and trust them? My son, I'm sending him to Busy Bee when he's done with high school because they're incredible. That's how awesome they are. So even if you're new, they want to talk to you. So what are you waiting for? Check it out. Join their team. Go meet their team. May 31st, 10 till 2. Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. If you want to know more, call 775-7833. 775-7833. Check them out online at busybeehvac.com. Are you ready to cash in on your hot takes when it comes to sports? How about this? Prize Picks wants you to know that you can win up 2,000 times your money. It's cash today by playing Prize Picks. Now, what is Prize Picks? Well, first, let me tell you something. It's an app. You download it. Use my code Chad, and I'll tell you how you get $50 bonus the first time you play your first lineup. A lineup is set like this. It's not players. It's teams. So it's more, it's less. It's that simple. And it can be more or less anything from, let's say, basketball, rebounds, points, turnovers, assists, threes, baseball, hits, strikeouts, things like that. So it's more or less. It's that easy. And yes, you can play across sports. You could do hockey, baseball, and basketball. It's credible. And up to 2,000 times your money. So how do you get your first $50 win? Simple. Play your first $5 lineup. You set the lineup. You play. Win or lose, you get a $50 bonus by using my code Chad. It is truly that simple. So download the Prize Picks app today. Use code Chad. $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. Download it. Whoop. Takes a few seconds. Then use my code Chad. You play that first lineup. Boom. $50 bonus right into your account. Prize Picks. Run your game. Must be 21, present in Tennessee. Gambling problem, call 1-800-426-2537. My son just got home. He called me at the commercial break. Dad, I'm off school. Wow!
When's he coming back out here?
So he's going to be here next. He's going to come out the 6th.
And
so
he's here for a month, right?
Yeah, he's probably a little bit longer than that. He's going to be out here probably halfway through July. So we got a lot of golfing. We're going to be playing in the golf tournament. And so we got a lot of stuff going on. This is going to be a party. It's, a little party. It's the time of the life. Because,
How old is he, 14?
So he'll be 15 on the 10th of June. And so his best friend in the world is my stepdaughter, his stepsister. She's 14. Now, she's flying out Saturday to go get our oldest daughter, she's on the spectrum, so flying is a little nerve. So we sent Lily because Lily calms her down for everything. And then they're going to fly back out here in a week. So they get here on the 7th. So Jack will be here the 6th. They got the 7th. And then it's just party time. So they're very excited. Very excited. And, you're out of school, kids. When you're out of school, that day, God, that feeling. When you went to, where'd you go to school?
I went here up until my last 3 years of high school, and my last 3 years of high school were in a little city just outside of Orlando called Lake Mary.
So when I was a kid, and I don't know about you guys, when I was a kid, we went to school. We got out like June 10th or 12th or something, but we didn't go back to school until like September.
Yeah,
right after Labor Day.
Remember that.
It was like right nowadays, like Jack's out now, but my little brothers and stuff, they got out last week. So it's kind of an odd, and yes, I have little brothers. They're my actual nieces and nephews that we have, the little brothers and sisters been adopted. So, but they got out last week. It was very interesting. AI's taken over the world. You guys recognize that. We talk about it. Now, taking over the world doesn't mean it's here to destroy us yet.
Doesn't mean it's not.
Also doesn't mean that. All right, let's be honest. We're not quite sure at this moment in time, but, it's here. So what are we going to do? Well, first things first, we got to figure out how we maneuver in the world of AI to use it for the betterment of us in the job world. But there's no doubt there is, as one person put, a bloodbath coming.
New warning for American workers. Artificial intelligence is about to wipe out millions of jobs. One expert says a bloodbath is looming. So we asked what, if anything, can workers do now to protect their careers? This morning, a major tech CEO is sounding the alarm about the technology he's spearheading. Anthropic CEO Dario Amodei, the head of the company behind AI model Claude 4, has a blunt warning, telling the website Axios half of all entry-level, white-collar jobs could be wiped out by artificial intelligence within 5 years, potentially driving the unemployment rate up to 20%. He says industries most at risk include law, marketing, tech, and finance.
These new generative AI technologies pose a real risk to early career knowledge jobs.
Which is interesting. The early career thing is interesting because your first job out now, you're not competing with the person who sent a resume in who's also looking at their first job or second job. You're now competing with something that in theory exists but doesn't exist. And can work 24/7 and never says, oh, the kids are sick, I can't come in.
In recent months, AI has shown stunning capabilities, from generating hyper-realistic fake videos to diagnosing rare diseases through data analysis. The state Supreme Court in Arizona is even using AI-powered avatars to act as reporters and summarize court rulings.
My AI colleague Daniel and I will be bringing you regular updates.
AI's rapid rise could bring real benefits, but also real disruption. The people most likely to be hit first, young, college-educated workers in their first jobs, before they've built experience or seniority.
Who don't yet have the work experience to be a sort of a manager of a team of AI agents.
And that is the prompting thing we've talked about. So prompting is when you go on and you type it in, and you prompt, and you tell them what they want. Because right now people ask a question, they treat it like Google. But going into things that are built, and by the way, like the programming thing, we talked about that yesterday. Programming, dead. I mean, there's several of, I've had it program stuff for me just to see if I could get some. It was so easy. So you could be a super programmer in a second, and it will program for you. So that's going to be gone really soon, and they recognize that. The prompt, though, is the being able to tell it what to do, because that's the one thing that people have trouble with. Because asking it a question like, what year did Charlemagne the God start his radio program is different than being able to type in something. I want this, this, and this, and I want it to look like this. I want this to be over here, because it's going to build whatever you want it to build. But if you don't frame it right, it looks stupid. It does, man. Woo! Go play around with some of those things. You put stuff in there, and there's times when you get the pinwheel of death, and it'll just say, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Some major companies already downsizing. Walmart cutting 1,500 corporate jobs, part of a technology-led restructuring. Microsoft laying off 6,000, saying it's aligning for the AI era. So how can you protect your career? Experts say double down on what AI struggles with, making human connections and doing things in person.
If you can do your job locked in a closet with a computer, those are the things that are more worrying for AI. Things that have to be in person and really with people tend to be safer.
And learn to work with AI, not against it.
It's really important that you've mastered your craft, your area of expertise, augmented by this technology.
Anthropic's CEO is pushing lawmakers to get up to speed on AI and urgently look at ways to regulate this technology.
Now, here's where I have an issue with that. When you do that, and let me tell you something about big business, and I don't know if you guys wear this. We have too much regulations. You know who lives for regulation? Big business. They love regulation. Because if I can regulate...
They're the first to beg for it.
They're the first ones.
Just like that guy was.
Yeah. I remember Zuckerberg's like, you guys really need to regulate this, right? Yep. He's up there. Why? Because if you regulate something, they're already in place. If they're in place, they're in structure.
Laws. They've already made their nut, and they're able to afford the regulations.
Yes. But that being said, there's going to be some serious questions asked. Somebody just texted, Luddites of the world unite. Who would have thought the Amish had it right? I don't want to work that hard, though. The learning to work with it is great. But one of the things they talked about is human interaction. Kids don't know how to do that. They don't. I was watching a comic last night. He was talking about kids don't understand what it was like dating in our day. Like, because you'd have to call the house, right? And then Mr. Johnson would pick up the phone and you're like, is Becky there? Who's this? It's Todd. Hey, Todd, what do you need Becky for? I need to ask her a math question, right? And the guy goes, and then what would happen? He goes, the dad would go, hey, Todd, I'm pretty good at math. Maybe I can help you out, right? Like, it's thinking on your feet, talking to human beings. Kids nowadays, they would just throw the phone and run away.
They would drop the phone and cry. They'd ball up into the fetal position.
Oh, God. Somebody asked about, and you and I were talking about or you were talking with somebody about like AI DJs and the music stations. There's AI talk shows. Now, they're not great, but they're out there. The thing is, though, certain things you want to live, and you want a human experience, right? Like, it'd be neat if you're just for random talk and you find something like that, that's awesome.
Yeah, if you're just looking for general information, but if you're looking for some personality that you can connect with while you're educating yourself, that's a different story.
Yeah, like if you listen to us because I try to make things personal. I tell you about my life and all the stuff, and I live it out here. And you're not going to get that with AI because AI hasn't had a wife or been through a divorce or had a company be successful or fail or has kids or any of that stuff. But the DJ side of stuff, but we've already had that. Our downsizing is our business is, Bell will tell you this. We're a $1 billion company run on a shoestring budget in this industry, and I'll let you guys know this.
And that's normal. That's not odd.
Yeah, I have a national show, and people will say, "You wait till it comes to your business." I said, "I have a national show." Let me tell you something. It's been in my business for years. You want to know? Because I'm on 100 stations nationwide in the morning, and there's 100 people that don't have jobs. Now I'm stoked for me, but understand that I get it, and I remember. I'm old enough to remember. Back in the day when they were just talking about a thing called duopolies, where they were going to let companies.
Where that meant you could own two stations in a market instead of just one.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden it's like, can I own 12?
As long as you don't exceed this percentage of revenue.
So it's this technology's been here, and this technology, through we saw the Industrial Revolution, but this is still something that is so much greater than we could talk about. And we did talk about the bad. I get that because it's kind of exciting, could take over the world and Skynet, it's scary. If it bleeds, it leads. But what about the other stuff? The medical breakthroughs that are coming, and they're going to come. the way that these things are going to be able to decipher and do things that we never even thought possible, and at a rate of speed we never thought possible, which is going to be awesome. And I'm excited for that stuff. So,
and there's also there's going to be things that AI creates that you're going to want, and the CEOs of those companies are going to want you to want them. And if you don't have a job to be able to afford them, that you're not going to get those things, and they're not going to make any money. So it's in the best interest of everybody that any CEO, and this goes beyond AI, no CEO wants a broke customer base.
No.
Because a broke customer base buys nothing.
Buys nothing.
They want you as rich as you can possibly get because they want your money.
Amen. Amen to that. Speaking of money, Matt Money Murphy. He's going to be coming up here in a little bit. He came in and fixed our TV earlier today. I want to thank him for that. I appreciate that. We had an operator error, which is, I didn't know which. But we got like 20 of these things in here, these changers. Remember what it was called, a clicker, when you were a kid? You know who was a clicker in my house?
I was the clicker.
I was the clicker. Hey, Chad. What, Dad? Go change the channel. That was so awesome.
I'm on the phone. It'll take you 2 seconds.
Yeah. Oh, my Lord. Coming up, we'll wrap up the show. Talk to Matt straight ahead. It is Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 99.7.
Right before we came on the air, Chad was yelling at me.
I was. Well, you were telling me how you look like.
Near
What
me.
did you say? You look like the bad guy on Miami Vice?
I got told that I look like I belonged on Miami Vice. And I said, yeah, I'm like the bad guy on Miami Vice at the beginning of the show that gets busted by Todd. Like, I'm not the main subject of that episode, but I'm the guy that's getting busted.
And they bring you in, and you're going to flip on the main guy.
I'm going to flip on the main guy. Yeah, that's me.
And then they find you in the bay.
Mm-hmm. Floating there.
Yeah.
Somebody flowery shirt on.
Somebody took out their cigar boat.
Man, I always wanted to be that guy on Law and Order. Like one of the opening guys on Law and Order. You know, where, the guy like me and you, we're two trash guys.
Yeah.
Well, then I told Joey, I said, Joey, you can't be doing that to me on the, whoa, what's that? It's like an arm or something. And that's how the episode starts.
That's it. That's all I want.
That's all, yeah, I don't want to be in the show. I just want to be that guy.
That guy.
Or like the bartender at the beginning of the show.
Yeah, because if you're a guest show on that, if you're a guest on that, you're either a victim or you're the perpetrator.
Oh, yeah.
Needs to be a speaking line, though, right?
Yeah, because you got to get your card, right? Your SAG card. Joey, look at that thing right there. Is that a dead body?
Oh my gosh!
Oh, geez.
And then here comes Briscoe or whoever it is. What was the guy's name? The guy with the big old eyeballs. Oh, Bell. Do you remember his name?
Belzer?
No, not Richard Belzer.
Jerry Orbach?
Jerry Orbach.
He's the one who put Baby in the corner.
Oh, yeah, he did.
Yeah.
Nobody does that.
No. But that dad had every right to do that because you're a 37-year-old man and she's a 16-year-old girl, and that's statutory rape, and you just already got somebody pregnant. Right. So what the hell are we doing here? Why are you dancing with my daughter?
No wonder that place shut down.
This is why we can't go to the Catskills anymore, kids. Oh,
what are you
talking about today?
We're going to do a little follow-up. We got, now everybody wants to talk about the immigration thing that's going on in Nashville, and Senator Marsha Blackburn is asked to stop by the show, so we're going to allow that to happen at 4 o'clock. Marsha Blackburn, good senator, maybe the future gubernatorial candidate.
The gubernatorial candidate?
We'll do that for a little bit. And then I have a city councilor on, David Benton, who one of the few city councilors who's stepping out and saying, you know what, I think we might be doing this wrong. Particularly, there was an accusation leveled yesterday by Representative Andy Ogles, and it's been proven and documented to be true. And I guess it was originally found out by Fox 17 that apparently the mayor's office was putting up ICE agent names on their website for no real reason.
On that website that's raising money?
Yeah, the website that is a part of the government's budget. It's the New and Indigenous Immigrant Council or something or another.
Indigenous means like First Nation.
New or Indigenous Americans Board. It's a part of the city of Nashville.
Well, Indigenous means that you're you're
That's
First
correct.
Nation. You're, as they call it,
That's
you're
right.
born here, so
Right.
you're Native American,
Right.
whatever.
That's correct.
So they don't have to worry about anything.
The title makes no.
Is Trump trying to deport them?
But if you're a new American, you don't have to worry about anything either, because that that implies that you're here legally. So. I don't know what this has to do with illegal immigration or illegal immigrants.
But they're trying to basically, put their.
They're trying to dox
them.
ICE agents, which is no good.
No, that's not.
I mean, you can completely disagree with everything that's going on.
Don't dox people.
Don't dox people.
Don't
anybody.
Yeah. Don't.
Are these people local, or are they been brought in from other offices?
Uncertain about that because there were no addresses given on and all of that's been taken down. So if you want to know that somebody realized they were doing something that they shouldn't do, then note this. Fox 17 does a story about it. Andy Ogles retweets it, talks about it on my radio show, and like 20 minutes later, it was taken down.
I wonder who did that.
I'm going to ask David Benton about it. And he's on the city council, so he should know. Who knows? I don't know.
Interesting.
I'm going to start the show with a Murphy fun fact, though. And I love this fun fact. I hope that you didn't do it. I haven't gotten a chance to listen to all of the show today. It involves the 10th president of the United States of America.
No, we didn't do that. Is it a conspiracy theory?
No. But this is great.
You're fine.
You'll think it's a conspiracy theory. You'll say, I'm going to do something at 3:00 whatever today. And you're going to say, Murphy, that's not true. And it is true. You're going to say, Murphy, I don't believe you.
Is this about the living grandson?
Oh, yeah,
I don't believe him.
He's dead. He finally died.
So I'm not going to do that anymore at 3:05 because Chad just ruined it.
Are you serious? I did not.
He's just glaring into the camera.
No, John Tyler does not have a living grandson.
So did he pass away finally?
He's dead.
All right. Well, he did, though.
Like you are to me.
Oh! We're doing conspiracy theories. What's your favorite conspiracy theory?
I don't really have any favorite conspiracy
one that has a
theory.
modicum of truth that you might think, okay, I could see how that could happen.
I'm not that guy. I just don't get into it. I don't know. Belle, have you ever known me to go into
Not so
conspiracy
much.
theory?
Not really.
My big conspiracy...
I'm an Occam's razor guy.
Yeah, I am too. My only conspiracy theory is I don't think we're alone. Outside of that, I think I'm like you.
I don't even know if that's a conspiracy theory, right?
No, well, I mean, I don't think it, but
Like
our government's hiding it is the conspiracy, not whether or not you believe it's real.
I don't know that I believe that.
So, all right. Well, coming up at 3:05, maybe he does what he said, or maybe
I'm not doing it anymore.
No, he's not doing it anymore. I ruined it. I'm a ruiner of stuff.
I'll still do it.
He's still going to do something. Straight ahead. Matt Murphy, you guys have a good one. We'll see you tomorrow.